Hey, and welcome to Neverwinter with Aragon. So there was a patch on the previous server and there's been some updates to some gear and to some enchantments. We have the new campaign coming with module 26 and it's Demon Web Pits, and it will allow you to obtain, much like before, new enchantments and insignias. And in particular, there'll be also a new combat enchantment, which will kind of suck. We'll upgrade it to Mythic regardless, and I'll show you why. Here we go, and it's just going to have the standard upgrade costs right here. Getting it all the way through the ranks. You can see you need the glyphs, the gold, and also your refinement points. Now, once on Mythic, it's exactly the same item level as all other combat enchantments. That's great, nice standard on Mythic, and it gives an equip bonus of 10% damage. You can read the rest of the tooltip and you can see that whenever you're surrounded by 5 or more enemies, you'll gain the maximum of 5% extra damage. Yeah, very underwhelming when you compare it with enchantment that's going to give you 15% extra stats. I think, personally, it's still the previous server, it's still open to change, and if the devs you're listening, I recommend you increase that percentage to at least 10%. 2% per each enemy near you. That way, it might be somewhat competitive. When you jump into an AoE fight straight away, you gain 10% extra damage versus Lightning Flash, which is only 15% stats with a bunch of accuracy there. So yeah, right now it sucks. We can check it against, let's say, 3 dummies. Do we gain the 3 stacks? Is it working properly? And we can check the math and so on. But right now, it's very underwhelming with the tooltip. Maybe they'll update it, but just going attacking these enemies, we get put in combat, and we should obtain the stacks, but I guess it doesn't show it on the buff bar. It should be like your wild card buff, but it's not showing. So I assume, yeah, they just don't have an icon for it yet, and they haven't worked on that, or it's not going to, and potentially they can still increase its quality. Now, another bit of interesting news is the new weapons coming with, module 26 will be better than the Weaver weapons pretty much. Now, this will be in longer fights. You can see the Weaver weapon on the left there and the Lolth weapon on the right. And they look very similar, don't they? The only difference is the bonus and the item level are the main difference. And the reason why these weapons would be better than Weaver is that item level. It is a whopping 425 more on each weapon. That's, nearly a 900 item level difference. Not going to matter in scaled content, sure, but most scaled content is not in the Underdark, and thus Weaver weapons are not going to matter that they're lower item level, and they'll be just fine. It's just the Weaver weapons really reliant on the 5% bonus in Underdark. Without that, the weapons are so-so. And thus, being able to fit in the extra stats from these Lolth weapons. I haven't covered them, I haven't tested them in a specific video. I still intend to do so. Maybe they'll adjust them further. And I'll showcase them for each class and test the math on them. And they'll basically give you 3% outgoing damage and healing. And then when your stamina is reduced, you gain up to 7.5% extra survivability. That's awesome. And at the start of combat, you gain critical strike and critical severity increased by 1% for 5 seconds, up to a maximum of 5% increase. So 5% crit strike, 5% crit severity, plus 3% damage, plus the added item level gap between this and the Weaver. We still don't know where they're coming from. They could come from the new dungeon. They could be harder to obtain than the Weaver, but unlikely. Or they could come from the campaign Demon Web Pits. Don't know yet. There is no description of where they come from. Now in the store here, this is where you will be getting your new enchantments. You do need to progress on the campaign in order to actually get these new enchantments, and this specifically the new combat enchantment. It says it needs the 3rd milestone, which we have obtained, so there's potentially a bug with that. But as far as I could see, that was about it. They've probably made some adjustments with the Abyssal Hunts and some of the gear to go with it. I don't believe they've changed the artifact sets that I've covered, so that's all fine. They have introduced an actual stat to the Mystic Bolt artifact, so that's pretty good. It's going to now stack as well with your other 1500 item level artifacts, with your Eye of Odran as well, so you can now have your Eye of Odran with the newer artifacts. That is very good. That's a good update. And the Mystic Bolt, yeah, still bugged. Only says it will reduce the enemy's awareness by -1%. The mask is still the same at 7.5%. And the Realm Engine Core also 7.5%. And they're all adding to my collections here. Good fix. There will be the Mythic Master Gear, Abyssal Master Gear. And there will be then the Legendary Abyssal Gear. This stuff will come from the store, but you're gonna have to run the new dungeon in order to buy it. And the mythic stuff, I don't know, potentially it just comes from the dungeon itself, drops in the chest at the end. Some decent bonuses, and we all gotta cover that in another video. So that's about it for this update. Personally, pretty excited for Module 26 and what the new dungeon has to offer. Can't wait till it gets to preview and we can test it out. So we'll see you guys around. Goodbye for now.